Here are the recommended tools that will be used in this video tutorial. Scumb4g Kustoms shaped film decals come in two types. Type 1 are shaped around individual icons and/or symbols, and Type 2 shaped around blocks of icons and/or symbols. Where needed, these strips can be used in place of cutting many individual decals, as can be seen here. For this tutorial, we will focus on the first type of shaped film decals. Once you have your Scumb4g Kustoms decals, choose a design that you're happy with. For this video, we're going to be using this design. You can of course use a different design, just make sure it fits the area that you are working with. The model that we will be using today has been designed by RedPilgrim, whose work can be found over on MyMiniFactory. The model has been painted to the final stage before adding any decals. Let's focus our attention in on the shoulder pad area right here. Once the decal is applied, I can turn my attention back to the painting process and finish off weathering and varnishing. With the decal and its location chosen, we can move on to the application process. Apply the Mr. Hobby matte varnish across the area with which you'd like to add the transfer. As a word of warning, please stick to using spray canned varnish only. Other brands should be fine too, as long as it's not brush on or airbrush varnish. This is because the Mark Fit decal softener can reactivate the paint and ruin your paint job. If you would like the transfer application process to go as smoothly as possible, I highly recommend not using gloss varnish. This is because you're going to be applying pressure to the transfer, and it can easily slip and slide around with gloss varnish underneath, whereas matte varnish offers a much grippier surface to work with. While the varnish is drying, let's cut out the decals. Please be mindful and very careful not to damage the ink on the decals with any equipment you use at this point. I have used a steel ruler and scalpel to cut out the decals, but please feel free to use a pair of scissors if you have enough room. I would also take this opportunity to cut out any additional decals you may require. You can use either regular or distilled water for softening the decals, and avoid adding too much water as it will make things trickier removing the decals from the pan. Once the decal is added to the water, it shouldn't take too long for the decal to separate from the backing paper. A word of warning, when using Tamiya's Mark Fit, please work in a well-ventilated area and wear gloves. To reduce the likelihood of air bubbles sitting under the decal, we're adding one coat of Mark Fit over the application area first. While the Mark Fit is still wet on the model, apply the decal using a small paintbrush, a scalpel, or a cotton bud, whatever's working best. If the decal is not moving as freely as you would like, just apply more Mark Fit. You can also use Mark Fit Super Strong if strong isn't cutting it. Once you are happy with the position of the decal, you can move on to the softening and smoothing process. Start from the middle and work outwards with a little bit of Mark Fit either on the tip of a brush or on the tip of a cotton bud. Apply a small amount of pressure, and you should start seeing results within the first 30 seconds. If things aren't going the way that you'd expect them to go, just be patient and keep on applying small amounts of Mark Fit, but a lot of layers, rather than doing a lot of Mark Fit once or twice. Another reason to start from the middle of the decal and push outwards is to also reduce the likelihood of air bubbles sitting underneath the decal as well. And you can see here that because we did use that Mr. Hobby matte varnish, that decal is not moving anywhere in spite of the pressure that we're applying to it. This would have less likely occurred if we'd used gloss varnish. There's one additional step that you can take while still wearing your nitrile gloves. Put your index finger in the center of the decal and apply a little bit of pressure and make an orbital motion towards the edges of the decal delicately. One final sanity check is to use some downward direct pressure with your thumb. If all went to plan, you should have something that looks like this. Do be aware though that obviously with most decals, they have a very glossy finish, so we will have to dull that down with some additional matte varnish spray. Apply the varnish until those edges seem to disappear or become much harder to see to the naked eye. And with just a couple of layers of varnish, this decal really looks like it's been etched onto the shoulder pad of the armor. You can barely see the edge of the decal at this point, and also bear in mind the model is quite zoomed in this video here. And because the decal has been varnished now, you can take things one step further and make that decal sit back and make it even more part of the model by doing any additional weathering, chipping, or oil washes at this stage. But this is the end of the tutorial, and here is the final result of what we've been working on. Additionally, here are some further examples of Scumb4g Kustoms decals used on different models. Thank you for watching.